Well, hello to everybody. This is Charles Richard, and today I just want to do something very quick because I want to talk to you folks that are actually trying to buy a new camera or trying to build on your glass. In other words, your camera lenses. There's a lot of solutions out there that actually are really good. And I've been doing this, for quite some time, and I've been really researching a lot of the things, and I've tried a lot of vintage glass, and not all vintage glass have the same characteristics, but everybody has a different feel and a different look that they're trying to achieve, right? So when we focus on that, all right, we want to try to look for a lens, all right, that is suitable for your use and for more so, okay, the ability to be able to capture the look that you're trying to go for. So every scenario is different. Let me explain to you a little bit more about lenses, all right? The new lenses that are out in the market right now are lenses that really are very, very clear, right? Because that is the look that they're trying to obtain and to get. So sometimes when you see, for example, a film, or you look at a specific movie, or you look at something in a particular video that you've seen from maybe the 80s or the 70s, you see a look that you kind of like a lot better, because that is really what you're trying to get out of your lens, and you can't seem to be able to achieve it with the new lenses. And the reason behind that you can't achieve that with the new lenses is because the new lenses, with all the new coatings that they have and all the new computerized design within the lens, they're more geared to a very clear and a very technologically, all right, breed of a lens. In other words, it looks very mechanical. It looks I don't know how to best describe it, but it doesn't have character, all right? It doesn't have character. It has clarity. There's a difference between clarity and character. Now, with that said, it doesn't mean that these lenses can't achieve character, all right? But in order for you to be able to achieve character, now you have to add things to it. For example, you might want a softer look, right? You might want a look that is more, softer, because when you do a softer look in a lens, right, your skin doesn't look as bad. So in other words, if you're filming somebody that is an older person, or somebody that has a lot of skin imperfections, right, the softness is going to make that person's skin look a lot nicer, a lot smoother, a lot better, and so with the new lenses, they are so much focused into clarity that they forget about all of that. And then sometimes over sharpness and over clarity, okay, brings out the defects, okay, that a person might have, whether it's facial in the body or stuff like that, right? It even brings out the defects in makeup. all right, and a lot of people aren't really understanding that. And so if you are filming, for example, and I don't want to say filming, but let's look at, let's say, live streaming. If you're live streaming and you're not very close to the lens, then you really don't have to worry about it. But if your shot, all right, your facial shot is a shot where it's more closer, then you do need to worry about this. This is one of the reasons that I chose this particular lens, because I have a lot of imperfections on my skin, all right, because I'm an older person, all right, and some of these imperfections I want to try to not necessarily hide it, okay, but kind of make it look a little bit nicer, so that the viewer doesn't focus so much on my imperfections on my face. So the way that I did it, right, was by actually using a much more wider lens, right? So I'm using a 16 millimeter lens, a 2.0, okay, lens, actually 2.8, I'm sorry, the XF 60 millimeter 2.8. So by me using a lens that's a little bit wider, I can place my camera a little bit wider, or a little bit, I should say, not a little bit wider, I should say a little bit closer, right? And because it's a wider lens, it hides some of those imperfections. Now that is good, okay, for this kind of shot, right? But at the same time, right, I want a lens that when I'm out doing my shoots and my shooting, and I'm actually shooting from afar, I want a little bit of flexibility. And I have found that these lenses, these characteristics that I personally am looking for, because I'm not looking for a super sharp lens, I'm looking for a lens that has character, can only be found in vintage lenses. Very seldom do you find this in a lens that is recently made, and I'm talking about very rarely. I'm not saying that you can't find it, all right, you can find it, but it is a rare scenario, all right. So vintage lenses have a lot of an advantage. Besides the advantage of being able to have character, the other advantage is their pricing. So within all of that, there's a lot of stuff that we look at, because another thing that I look at in a lens is the type of coatings that the lens has. If a lens has a lot of coatings, it takes away from the quality of the glass. So it gives me a synthetic look that only a glass, all right, that is not coated, all right, can achieve. In this instance, I chose to look at certain lenses, all right. I've looked at Nikon, I've looked at Canon, I've looked at a lot of different brands of lenses, from Olympus all the way down the line. Every single company, and I want to kind of make this clean and clear, right? Every single company has lenses that are extremely good, and then they have lenses that are really not good, okay? And when I say extremely good, I am talking about not extremely good for everybody, but extremely good in the look that you are looking for. Let me explain to you. If I am looking for a lens that has more of a softness, but has a warm, is more geared to a warm look, right, with very vivid colors, right, there's only a group of lenses that will be able to achieve that. So if I look at, for example, the Olympus lines of lenses, I will find that only maybe one or two lenses will be able to give me that look. If I look at the Canon lenses, the Canon might have 10 or 20 lenses, because Canon has a whole bunch of different lenses. They've been manufacturing lenses for a long time. If I look at Nikkor, okay, Nikkor has the same scenario. Nikkor might have, 20 lenses or 10 lenses, all right, that actually will give me the look that I am looking for. So when I look for a lens, the first thing that I look for as a cinematographer is I look for what is my my actual look that I'm trying to achieve for what I want to film. So if I want a warmer color, or if I want to create a horror movie, I'm gonna focus more on the reds, more on the browns for horror movie than if I want to do sci-fi. If I want to do sci-fi, I'll try to achieve more of a cooler tone, a bluish tone, a greenish tone, which makes it more robotic. It looks more robotic. So within that, all right, then you have the difference between your prime lenses and your zoom lenses. There are some zoom lenses that go way and beyond, because it gives you the ability. It does several things for you. The first thing that it does, it retains and maintains your coloring of your film the same, because when you change the lens from one lens to another lens, now you have to worry about color grading, because although the lens might be very similar, there still are going to be differences in your color science between one lens and your next lens. And when you are actually producing a film, you want that to be as smooth as possible. So now you have to do color grading, and color grading sometimes can be expensive if you don't know how to do it. Sometimes the color grading that you do is so very minimal that you yourself can do it if your lenses are very closely matched. But if they're not, okay, then your color grading can get tedious and expensive. All right. With that said, the reason, all right, that zoom lenses in cinematography are used is because in a zoom lens is considered like a bag of prime lenses, right? A bag of prime lenses in which is really, embedded in a zoom lens has the advantage of now you really don't need to do color grading to match your different lenses. You do color grading to grade your whole movie, but you don't need to try to, in addition of doing color grading for the movie, you don't need to do color grading to do lens matching, and in other words, you try to match one segment because you used a different lens on this one segment to your next segment. So with that said, there are very few lenses that will produce something that is super smooth and super clean and super with character. All right. Now, some of these lenses, some people pay, $80,000 for some lenses to be able to achieve this, and you can find some lenses that will be able to achieve something close for maybe $1,000 or maybe for $20. The price doesn't matter. What matters is the characteristic of the lens that you're trying to achieve or what you're trying to do. All right, so don't get all caught up in all that mumbo jumbo, stuff that's going around that, oh my God, because I have an L lens, that L lens is the best lens for what I'm doing. No, that's the best lens for that particular person, but that might not be your style of shooting. All right, so this is where you begin to develop, all right, your style. You begin to develop what looks good and what works best for you. So with this said, all right, I want to talk to you, just cover a little bit very superficially about vintage lenses. When you are using a vintage lens, most of the time you are going to need an adapter, all right, to adapt that particular lens into your camera mount. Now, a lot of adapters are very inexpensive. These are called straight-through adapters, and then you have obviously, right, focal reducers. I'm not going to get into focal reducers. I'm not going to get into the science of the adapters itself, but I do want to say one thing in regards to adapters. Not every adapter is the same, and let's look at this for a second, okay? Let's look at just the straight-through adapter. In the straight-through adapter, you might have Velo that makes one. You might have K&F that makes another one. You might have Photodiox that makes the same adapter for the lens that you have to be able to mount it onto your camera system. Now, the difference is in the quality, but more so the difference is in the precision that the adapter is made. Let me explain, right? If the adapter is off by a millimeter in the distance, all right, that it actually applies when it is used on the lens, all right, it might cause the lens to be out of focus. All right, and then you think that there's something wrong with the lens, and it's not the lens, it's actually the adapter, because the adapter is off by a millimeter. A millimeter can cause a lens to be completely out of focus. All right, so when you're looking at vintage lenses, you need to make sure that the adapter that you have, all right, is actually a precise adapter, a precision adapter. And let me go one step further. Just because you buy an adapter from Photodiox doesn't mean that all of their adapters are going to be the same. Let me further explain this to you. You can have two adapters from Photodiox that are for the same purpose. Okay, let's say you are adapting a Canon lens to a Sony camera, for instance, right? And you buy two separate adapters, and you will find that one of the adapters is off a little bit because when they manufactured it, right, that adapter is off by a little bit, right? It's actually off by a little bit, which causes and can cause a lens to be out of focus or give you differences in the quality of what your lens is actually capable of doing. All right, so let's erase that equation from the adapter and let's move on. Let's hope that when you buy an adapter, that you buy an adapter that is a precision adapter and that won't give you those issues. I have found some adapters have given me those issues and those problems. So I bought a lens, all right, and I bought a lens that is a vintage lens. It is not an expensive lens. It is a very inexpensive lens. But the one thing that I like about this lens is the quality, the characteristic, okay, of what the lens brings to the table. What I got, okay, is I got a lens which is a Tokina. This is a Tokina lens. I think you can see it right there. All right, this is a Tokina lens, and it is a 28 millimeter to 70 millimeter. Now, because I am going to mount it on a Fujifilm APS-C camera, my crop factor is a 1.5, which actually turns my lens into a 43 to 105. That is a pleasing focus, okay, a focal length, all right, for the lens. What's nice about this lens, because not very many lenses, all right, and what I found that is nice about this lens for me, for my personal use, and I'm just kind of interpreting what I find about this lens because maybe you might like this, is that this lens is almost completely what is called parfocal. Right, which means, what is parfocal? Parfocal means that you can zoom in or zoom out and your image is going to be retained in focus. It's not going to change your focus point. It doesn't have absolutely zero, okay, breathing, on the lens. I don't see no breathing at all. It is also a macro lens, all right? It's also a macro lens. So how true of a macro lens is it? Well, it's not really a true macro lens, but it has that capability. So it gives me a flexibility, if I wanted to do macro. I don't do macro, not for cinematography, at least not yet, So, but it's got, quite a bit of interesting features. And it goes from, it's got your aperture ring, all right? It goes from 3.5 all the way to 22, right? So it has a lot of great qualities. It is an FD mount, okay? It is a very, very solid lens, all right, and it is made out of it's all metal, all right. It's all metal except for the grips. You know, the grips right here, right, are very, very rubbery. You got your two grips here, and the reason that I like this so much is because, remember, I'm thinking about using. I'm going to use this lens, all right, for cinematography. Now, because these grips right here are so, they're not as wide, all right, and they're really, the markings are really clean and clear. I can take this lens and I can actually convert it into a cine lens very easily by taking these rubber pieces, because these rubber pieces come off, all right, and I can mount my new gears, okay, my gear wheels here on both of these, all right, which gives me the ability for focus here, I'm sorry, for zoom here, okay, I take that back, for zoom, all right, and here for focus, all right. The other thing also is that this lens is not like one of those lenses that actually expands and reduces, because when you have this lens and when you put it on a matte box, if you're using a matte box or if you're using something similar, you don't want the lens or even a follow focus, right? You don't want it to be moving up and down, okay? You want your follow focus needs to be right there, and it keeps it right there, all right? Your zoom, all right, keeps it right there. See, the zoom doesn't go anywhere. The zoom stays right there, okay? The only thing that moves is your actual focusing, and it moves so minimal that your wheels are actually going to be able to retain, the gears are actually going to be able to stay in the actual ring itself, all right? So, and that's a plus thing. The lens is not an expensive lens, guys. All right, this lens is very inexpensive, very, very inexpensive. You can find this lens for under $30. Okay, honestly, you can find it for under $30. But remember, price is not what actually makes a lens good. All right, what makes a lens good is the characteristics of a lens. And although you have a lot of guys that are out there trying to impress people by how much they spent on a particular lens and this and that, you know what I'm saying? It's all very much up to the creator, and you being the creator have that capability to be able to choose whether what you are seeing and what you are looking with your own eyes, if it's going to work for you. And if it works for you, then that is the right tool for you. So when you're looking for a lens, okay, don't always look at buying new, because new is not always the best thing. There's many cinematographers, okay, very famous cinematographers, very famous films that actually have been filmed on lenses that are older. As a matter of fact, okay, a good 70% of the films in the big screen that you are looking at are filmed with lenses that have character, lenses that are no longer made, lenses that are vintage lenses, and is not necessarily because they are cheaper, because sometimes some of these vintage lenses are very expensive. There are some vintage lenses that can get up to into the high thousands of dollars, right? It is because of a character of that particular lens that a DP, all right, or a director is trying to achieve for a particular look in what he is trying to film. I hope that this video actually is a little bit beneficial to you into instructing you and trying to show you the benefits of being able to choose a lens and how to choose a lens. Now, I'm going to take this lens, all right, this lens, I'm going to take it to be serviced, not necessarily because it needs it, okay, but I want to make sure that it is perfect inside and everything. And then as soon as it comes back from servicing, all right, I am going to be shooting some stuff, and I'm going to be showing you exactly what I mean by the quality of this lens, because the character that this lens has is really one that is very pleasing for me in what I want to try to do with it, and then I will more so, not only will I shoot with the lens, but I will try to show you the look that it gives me and what that look is good for, because this look that I'm trying to achieve with this lens is a look that is not so clear, a little bit, a hint of softness to it, all right, but it's very, very good on skin tones because of the tones that it actually produces, all right, and the clarity and the ability to do a zoom, all right, and with, in other words, the ability to actually have one lens that will act as multiple prime lenses without me having to take it off the camera, and well, I'll kind of cover all these things, right, in the video when I do the review on this particular lens. I have other lenses that are actually coming and that I have already that I want to start to cover so that you can actually see the power, all right, of the cameras that I use. I use Fujifilms because the color science in the Fujifilms are some that are really, unmatchable, right? And when I say unmatchable is because what I like about the Fujifilm color science is pretty much that I can film something, and if I want to, I don't really need to go through no post-production work. I can just pretty much upload it because the colors are so good and so great and the quality is so perfect, for what I need. I don't need to touch it up here or there. The selection that it has for coloring is out of this world. I'm doing this, and I'm going to be using an XT2, all right, to kind of like show you the quality of these lenses. And I'm also going to be showing you this particular lens on XT3, all right, filming a little bit with better quality in 4K, all right, which I don't think that it needs it because the XT2 will do 4K. But here's another one, okay. I think this lens, right, is also very, very good, will work very good on any of the other cameras, all the other full frame cameras. And I'll go into that, okay, when I show you the differences, okay, of the cameras and the camera settings and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, I hope that this particular quick cover of the lens, quick, it's not really a review, but pretty much a quick talk on using and selecting a lens. I hope that this actually will help someone to better select a lens that they actually seen or that they need to be able to achieve a certain look that you're actually wanting to achieve. All right, anyways, this is Charles Richard. I want to thank you for joining. This is not a live stream, all right, so in case you see anything, this is really not meant to be a live stream. It is not a live stream. It's just going to be posted on YouTube to kind of help you gear your mind to other options that you have for your Fujifilm cameras or other cameras to be able to produce better content for your YouTube channel or for just your own pleasure. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like, please, I'm always say, please subscribe. You can see it right there. Oh, yeah, subscribe, and that way you can follow us, and you can be notified as to when we do stuff here on on YouTube. Once again, thank you so much, and I'll see you on our next video.